Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with another Underrated Gems episode, and I'm gonna be doing another mostly underrated gems for this one because it's a series I kind of want to continue, and I kind of also want to review some more. And for to clarify, guys, underrated gems is mostly going to be children's films because I mean I like I mostly kind of review adult films, but I can review some children's movies too. And this like and in case some people are probably thinking, I hate children's movies because I ranted on Turning Red, or I ranted on any Tom and Jerry, I ranted on Space Jam New Legacy. If some of you are thinking that, that's not true. If you guys, for those who think, if people who do think that, didn't you see my reviews for Soul, Mitchells vs. the Machines, or Robots? Or what's the, I reviewed Luca, I reviewed Ryan the Last Dragon. I liked those. I like a lot of the older Disney animated films, so no, guys, and I like quite a few DreamWorks animation movies, so no, I don't hate children's films. The children's films I hate are the ones that try to be all modern or just like to spit on childhoods. Those ones I hate, or those that include too many 2010 references, or don't even try to have heart. Those are the ones I do hate. However, but anyway, what's going to be for today's underrated gem? Well, today's underrated gem is going to be a two-parter one because there's actually two films in this. It's going to be a certain franchise that has two movies so far. One came out about 6 or 5 years ago, and then the follow-up it got came out last year. And this is going to be my first Illumination review, aka the company behind Despicable Me. But this is for actually, they're a non-Despicable Me film I actually do like, and this is coming from someone who's not a big fan of Illumination, just to clarify that. Only Illumination films before I saw this one I liked were really just Despicable Me 1 and 2, and that was kind of about it. But this is their first non-Despicable Me feature I actually do like, and this was one I was really surprised by, because the trailers made this movie look bad. But this film is for none other than 2016's Sing. Now, let me clarify this. Some Illumination fans kind of hate this film, or some animation fans kind of consider him one of their weaker films, but personally, I think this is probably the most efforts looking past the song scenes. I can see this is probably the first time Illumination really tries to put an effort in their films and really try to have some serious moments for a change. So that's kind of why I like it more than some of their other stuff. So I don't like it as much as Despicable Me 1 or 2, but I think it's better than some of their non-Despicable Me stuff, especially their Dr. Seuss films or Minions even, which is probably their worst. But anyway, let's get on with the plot. Well, in a world of anthropomorphic animals, yeah, that was kind of a big trend around the 2010s with animated features. Koala Buster Moon, played by Matthew McConaughey, owns a theater, having been interested in show business since his father took him to his first music show as a child. Following financial problems brought up by a bank representative, who's actually ironically voiced by Danny DeVito's ex-wife, Riel Perlman, aka who is also in Matilda. He tells his wealthy friend Eddie, voiced by John C. Reilly, that he will host a singing competition with a prize of $1,000. But Buster's assistant, a lizard named Miss Crawley, who has this running gag of losing her glass eye, accidentally apprehends 2 extra zeros, and promotional flyers show $100,000 are blown out of Buster's office into the city streets. So how was this film made? Well, it was around January 2014, when Illumination was really starting to rise. It was announced that Garth Jennings would write and direct an animated comedy film for Universal Pictures and Illumination Entertainment about courage, competition, and carrying a tune. It was originally going to be titled Lunch, kind of a weird title, which thankfully it did not get called. Then thankfully got retitled Sing, actually a more creative title. And then another year later, in January 2015, Matthew McConaughey was cast in the film's lead voice role, and Chris Meledandri Danny Healy produced the film, and on June 17, 2015, it is confirmed that McConaughey's character would be named Buster, and that John C. Reilly would voice his friend Eddie, who's technically a sheep. In November 2015, it was announced several other actors such as Reese Witherspoon, Seth MacFarlane, Scarlett Johansson, Tori Kelly, and Taron Egerton had joined the cast. According to a Hollywood Reporter interview and article, the film would contain over 65 non-stop pop songs, the rights to which cost 15% of the film's $75 million budget. Animation was created entirely in France by Illumination's usual animation company, Illumination McGuff. So, upon completion, the film screened at Toronto International Film Festival on September 11, 2016, and premiered at the Microsoft Theater on December 3rd, 2016, and was to be released in theaters in the United States on December 21st, 2016, 4 days before Christmas. It received generally positive reviews and grossed a randomly unexpected $634 million worldwide, especially for a film that was facing competition with Rogue One. As for most audiences, they're more mixed. There are some who enjoy it, such as myself, and some other subscribers of mine, and some who view it as yet another typical mediocre Illumination film. When it comes to me, like I've said, I think this is their most enjoyable of their non-Despicable Me works. However, there's this follow-up that came out last year. I prefer better, and you're going to find out why in that review. But I still enjoy this movie a lot more than most people, and some people would. Like, around this time, there was seemingly a wave of very solid animated movies in the last few years or so. You know, Sing is quite a different animation film since the basic is kind of about singing, and initially when I saw the trailers, I did not expect this film to be great, funny, or interesting, but upon viewing, there was something different in both style and originality with this film. It was kind of more than just some kind of jukebox, really. I liked it wasn't just entirely that. Here, Illumination Entertainment, like, we all remember in 2010, Illumination Entertainment jumped into the animation game with their first feature, Despicable Me, to challenge DreamWorks and Pixar, and they made a big splash with that film. And they released some rather flat movies after that, like Hob, The Lorax, the Despicable Me spin-off Minions, and then Secret Life of Pets, which was just kind of a Toy Story ripoff, really. But they'd already established that they could make a hits, because all those movies proved to still be box office hits despite what people thought about them. And seeing as kind of proof they really just needed the right story with the right characters, and they could be back in the conversation without a Despicable Me derivative all the time. And without having to just rely on the Minions, their big mascots. And what makes this film work is not only the singing, there are a blend of older songs and newer ones of different genres, but the different type of characters, and how each main animal character is given a backstory and a subplot. And I really like how for an Illumination film, this film feels a little more grounded and not all over the top like their other stuff they are known for, so it kind of allows for a somewhat more mature tone here. And the film's ensemble cast even does a great job fitting into their roles nicely, namely Matthew McConaughey and the rest of the cast. The film's animal designs even stand out and have some creativity put into them. Like, literally anytime they ever feel any emotion or experience something, they literally don't feel like just animated characters or typical cartoon characters in an animated film. They kind of feel like actual human beings that go through hardships like you'd expect in real life. Look, I also even enjoy almost all the characters except for one of the contestants that I'm going to get to in a bit. And I think for those who have seen the movie kind of know which one I'm talking about. I really like how while the contestants have to kind of compete against one another, they all mostly kind of throughout the film, they start kind of befriending one another during their rehearsals and once their kind of hardships get in the way of the rehearsals as time goes on. Like, now let's get on to the characters. Now, I know like some animation fans kind of dislike Buster because he does make some stupid decisions. I mean, yeah, fine, there are some decisions that aren't so smart he makes. They're kind of foolish and not very right, but to be honest, I think it's kind of funny. I think he's kind of funny with all the bad decisions he makes every once in a while. But the difference is, with this kind of cliche protagonist, unlike a lot of animated protagonists that suffer this cliche and end up being as purely annoying and dislikable as ever, like Oscar from Shark Tale, or Surly from The Nut Job, or Davy Stone from 8 Crazy Nights, he never does a lot of these actions out of malice, and actually still cares about others in the process. So I really like so I think he's still somewhat likable despite some not so wise things he does, in kind of a way. It kind of adds a little flaw to protagonists, and if you're gonna have a protagonist, you've kind of got to give them a few flaws, so that they kind of learn a moral as the film goes on. And now when it comes to my favorite of the contestants, I easily have to say Johnny. Johnny easily has the best story arc of all the contestants in this film. I really like how, with his story arc, where he wants to be a singer and not part of his father's crime business, but also kind of wanting to make his dad proud. I really like the scenes him and his dad have together. You can really tell his dad actually does care about him secretly, and it's very refreshing for an unproud dad cliche. And not to mention this movie, apparently, actually, believe it or not, guys, helped Taron Egerton get casted as Elton John in the 2019 film Rocket Man. But despite this being one of Illumination's better films, I do agree with some valid criticisms for this film, and I can see why, and I can see some people's criticisms. For starters, let's get started with, okay, where can I find a picture with this fucking asshole? Okay, okay, it's a tiny little picture, this asshole character, but let me see if I can, okay, yeah, this guy, aka Mike. I hate this fucking dude so much. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Seth MacFarlane better in the Ted films and some of his voice acting in Family Guy in some episodes, even though I'm not a big Family Guy fan. But God, his character almost nearly kills this movie for me. Like, here's just a few examples of some of his scenes alone.
Enough of that. That's quite enough of that. That's it. Come on. Off the stage, Helga. Go on, you're useless. Hey, Porky, keep it down, will you? Sorry. You almost killed me, Jumbo.
It wasn't me.
Oh, is that so? By the way, I love your act. Seriously, the part where you fall flat on your face, that cracks me up every time. See you around, Porky.
There's also another unlikable character I also really don't like named Lance, who's actually Ash's ex-boyfriend, but at least, unlike Mike in this film, at least Lance is only in like a few scenes of the film. So at least there's that. Mike, on the other hand, is nearly in like almost every scene the contestants have together. Particularly, he appears in a lot of Mina's scenes. All he does in the film, like the clips you saw, is basically just berate about anybody he encounters for zero good reason. On top of that, he even acts so stupid in the middle of the film because he basically gets himself in trouble with certain gangsters because of his arrogant ego. And actually thinks the prize money is already going to be directly for him, even though technically the prize money is kind of, well, fake, in a way, and just causes most of the problems in the film. And then another bad quality would be like, just kind of like Shark Tale, the anthropomorphic animal setting is kind of pointless. If the characters were human, the story would kind of remain the same. This would probably just John the Cash on Zootopia, but however, unlike with Shark Tale, where the animated fish look all creepy like their voice actors, at least with Sing, they don't they don't have uncanny, disturbing designs, and they still look like animated animals at least. So at least they didn't go the Shark Tale route, or unlike that DreamWorks film with Will Smith, the one that tried to cash in on Finding Nemo. Yeah, and then of course. And there's also this running gag involving this J-pop singing band of red pandas that speak Japanese, and there's like no English titles to translate what they're really saying most of the time, and their gag kind of gets a little annoying after a little while, so. And I didn't like this movie had a reference to Nicki Minaj's Anaconda. Kind of like, that's kind of the problem with Illumination. They always like to reference too many 2010 modern internet references, and it's kind of why I don't take them seriously as much as Animation Studio most of the time. Like, it's something I kind of wish they tried to stop doing if they really wanted to get better reputation. And then the fourth bad quality, I feel like they kind of go a bit like the liar revealed cliche with when the fake prize money gets revealed. But however, with this moment, they actually kind of do it a bit differently here, where even after the fake money is revealed, the contestants like still cheer Buster up after Buster loses whatever is kind of left of the theater, even if they seemed a little upset at first about the $100,000 never being there. So I guess that bad quality gets kind of a pass. At least they didn't kind of try to go the whole Bugs Life way of how they handled the liar revealed cliche. So here's at least that. But however, in the end, I think Sing is still one of the better Illumination films, but I still prefer the follow-up we just got last year a lot more. However, I guess I would kind of recommend it to those who want to see Illumination try to be more serious if they're getting sick and tired of Minions. for a change. But anyway, that's it for my review of this film, and here's how I'm going to rank it. So overall, if you are sick of seeing just minions from this studio and want to see something a bit more refreshing for a change, then I would give this movie a watch for sure. And if you're wondering how I'm going to rank Sing, I'm going to give Sing an 8 out of 10. And there we go. That's it for part 1, but because the reason why this is not entire episode yet, because part 2 is going to be the sequel. So since there was a sequel to this film, I'm going to be reviewing the sequel as well, and that review is going to be even more positive than this, and so this is why it's going to be a 2-parter episode, because there's still Sing 2 to review. But and until then, that'll be it for part 1. Thank y'all for watching, and this video will be continued in part 2.